Most seniors do not lose independence in one dramatic moment. They lose it quietly, one chair, one staircase, one grocery bag at a time. And by the time they finally call it weakness, the body may have been warning them for months. Hello, I'm Dr. Claire Bennett. Let's go straight to the point. When an older adult tells me, "Doctor, I'm just getting older," I never ignore that sentence. Aging can change the body, of course. Muscles may respond more slowly, recovery may take longer, and certain movements may feel different than they did 20 years ago. But there is a difference between normal aging and losing strength so quickly that your daily life begins to shrink around it. That is what I want you to listen for today. Not panic, not fear, just honest attention. Strength is not only about lifting weights or looking fit. For a senior, strength means standing up from a chair without fear. It means stepping into the bathtub safely, carrying a laundry basket, opening a jar, walking across a parking lot, and getting up from the floor if something unexpected happens. Strength is one of the quiet foundations of independence, and when it begins to fade, people often notice it first in the smallest routines. Before we go through the 6 signs, think about this for a moment. Which daily movement has changed most for you lately? Standing from a chair, climbing stairs, carrying groceries, or walking longer distances. If one of those feels familiar, you can share it in the comments, because many seniors are quietly noticing the same thing. Now, before we continue, I want to make one safety point very clear. This video is educational, not a diagnosis. If weakness comes on suddenly, especially on one side of the body, or if it comes with chest pain, severe shortness of breath, fainting, confusion, facial drooping, new trouble speaking, or a fall with injury that needs urgent medical attention, that is not the kind of weakness to watch for a few days. But many cases of strength loss are not sudden, they are quiet. They show up as small compromises. You push harder on the armrest, you avoid the stairs, you carry less, you walk slower. You tell yourself you are just being sensible, and sometimes you are, but sometimes your body is slowly asking for help. The key question is not, am I weaker than I was at 40? Most people are. The better question is, am I noticeably weaker than I was 6 months ago? And is it changing what I do? That is the question that matters, because strength loss becomes more serious when it begins to change your choices, your confidence, and your independence. Let's start with the first sign, because it is one of the clearest ways the body tells the truth. The first sign is that getting up from a chair has become harder than it used to be. You may not describe it as weakness at first. You may say the chair is too low, the sofa is too soft, or you need a better armrest. You may rock forward once or twice before standing, push down with both hands, or pause after you stand because you are not fully steady. None of this means something terrible is happening, but if this is new or getting worse, it matters. Standing up from a chair is a real-life strength test. Your thighs, hips, buttock muscles, ankles, core, and balance system all have to work together. If one part of that system is weaker, painful, or less coordinated, the whole movement becomes more difficult. That is why a chair can reveal strength loss before you notice it during a walk. A safe way to observe this is to use a firm dining chair placed against a wall so it cannot slide. Sit with your feet flat on the floor and notice whether you can stand smoothly without pushing with your hands. Do not force it, and do not try this if you feel dizzy or unsafe. What you are watching for is control. Do your knees cave inward? Do you hold your breath? Do you need several attempts? Do you stand halfway and drop back down? Do you feel unsure once you are upright? These details are useful because they tell you whether the problem may be strength, balance, pain, or fear of falling. For example, someone with knee arthritis may use the arms because standing hurts. Someone else may use the arms because the legs no longer feel powerful enough. Another person may use the arms because the moment of standing feels unstable. Each situation needs a slightly different response, but all of them deserve attention if the change is becoming more frequent. The practical first step is not always buying weights or pushing through pain. It may be practicing sit-to-stand movements from a safe chair with a sturdy counter nearby and stopping before you become shaky or unsafe. For some people, especially those who have fallen, have severe arthritis, or feel afraid when standing, physical therapy is the safest place to begin. And once standing from a chair becomes harder, the next place many people notice trouble is not across the room. It is on the stairs. The second sign is that stairs, curbs, and small rises feel bigger than they used to. This happens because stairs demand more strength than flat walking. Your front thigh muscles help straighten the knee. Your hip muscles help lift and stabilize the body. Your calf muscles help push you upward. Your core helps keep you from swaying. So when strength begins to slip, stairs often expose it early. You may begin pulling yourself up with the railing instead of simply using it for balance. You may put both feet on each step rather than alternating legs. You may avoid carrying laundry or groceries upstairs. You may hesitate at curbs, especially if the curb is uneven or there is no handrail. You may still be able to climb the stairs, but it now feels like a task you must prepare for. This is where many older adults start quietly editing their lives. They stop using the stairs at the mall. They park closer to the entrance. They choose the doorway with the railing. They avoid visiting places where they know there are steps. Each decision may seem reasonable, and sometimes it is, but when these changes pile up, they can reveal a pattern. The danger is that avoidance can become a loop. Stairs feel harder, so you take fewer stairs. Because you take fewer stairs, the muscles needed for stairs are challenged less often. Then stairs become even harder, and your world becomes a little smaller. This is how mild weakness can grow into a larger problem without ever announcing itself loudly. The answer is not to force yourself up and down stairs until you are exhausted. The answer is to rebuild capacity gradually and safely. That may mean supported step-ups on a very low step, strengthening the hips and thighs, practicing slow stair climbing while holding a railing, or working with a physiotherapist to understand whether the problem is strength, balance, joint pain, footwear, vision, or a combination. One important caution: if stair difficulty comes with chest pressure, unusual shortness of breath, dizziness, or pain spreading to the arm or jaw, that is not simply a leg strength issue. That needs medical evaluation. But if the pattern is mainly leg fatigue, trembling, and needing more support than before, your stairs may be giving you an early warning. Now, lower body strength is only one part of the story. The next sign often shows up in the hands, and many people blame the object before they blame the body. The third sign is that your grip is weaker, clumsier, or less reliable. You may drop things more often. A mug slips, keys fall, a grocery bag feels harder to hold. You need 2 hands to lift a kettle. You avoid heavy pans. You ask someone else to open jars that used to be easy enough. It is very common to explain this away. You may say, "The lid is too tight," or "These containers are badly designed," or "This bag is awkward." And sometimes that is true. Modern packaging can be frustrating for anyone. But if many ordinary objects have become harder at the same time, it is worth paying attention. Grip strength can reflect more than the hand itself. It may be affected by arthritis, nerve problems, neck issues, pain, medication effects, or general muscle loss. Sometimes the hand is the first place a person notices that their overall strength is not what it used to be. The important question is not whether you can open every jar. The better question is whether your normal ability has changed. If the weakness is sudden, one-sided, or comes with facial drooping, slurred speech, severe headache, confusion, or new trouble using one side of the body, treat it as urgent. But if the change has been gradual, bring it up at a regular medical visit. A clinician may check strength, sensation, reflexes, arthritis, medications, blood tests, or whether a nerve issue is involved. In the meantime, make daily life safer. Use a jar opener, choose lighter cookware, avoid carrying boiling water in a heavy pot. Use both hands for objects that are heavy or unstable. That is not giving up. That is reducing risk while you find out what is happening. And if your grip is changing, it is also worth asking whether your walking is changing, because the body often sends several small clues before it sends one big one. The fourth sign is that your walking has changed, even if you can still walk. Many older adults measure walking only by distance. They say, "I still walk around the block," or "I still go to the store." But the quality of walking matters too. A person may still cover the same distance while becoming slower, less steady, more cautious, or more dependent on walls, furniture, or shopping carts. Strength loss can show up as shorter steps, a slower pace, more shuffling, less arm swing, a wider stance, or more looking down at the floor. You may take several small steps to turn instead of turning smoothly. You may slow down when the lighting is dim. You may avoid uneven ground. You may reach for furniture without even noticing. Family members often see this before the person does. They may say, "You're walking slower," or "You seem less steady." That can feel uncomfortable to hear. No one likes to feel watched, corrected, or treated as fragile, but sometimes the people walking beside us can see changes we have learned to work around. A change in walking can have many causes. It may involve leg weakness, balance changes, foot pain, neuropathy, poor vision, dizziness, medication side effects, low blood pressure when standing, arthritis, Parkinson's disease, or fear after a fall. That is why it is worth discussing. Walking is not just a leg movement, it is a full body performance involving strength, nerves, joints, vision, balance, confidence, and attention. One of the biggest mistakes is responding by walking less and less. If walking is unsafe, yes, you need support, but complete avoidance can weaken the very systems that help you keep walking. The safer goal is not simply to walk more, the goal is to walk more safely. That may involve proper footwear, a cane fitted correctly, balance exercises, strength training, vision care, medication review, or physical therapy. And please do not be embarrassed by a mobility aid if one is recommended. A cane or walker, when properly chosen and fitted, is not a symbol of failure. It may allow you to move more, not less. Moving safely is far better than staying still proudly and losing more strength. Now we come to the sign I worry about most because it does not look like weakness at first. It looks like a decision. Before I explain number 5, I want you to ask yourself one honest question. What is one task you used to do without thinking, but now you avoid because it feels too tiring, too heavy, or too risky? If you feel comfortable, write just that one task below. Sometimes naming the task is the first step toward protecting it. The 5th sign is that you have quietly started avoiding ordinary tasks. This is the one most people miss, because it does not always feel physical. It feels practical. It feels convenient. It feels like you are simply choosing an easier way. You stop carrying laundry upstairs. You stop gardening because it feels like too much trouble. You stop visiting a friend because the parking lot is too far. You stop going to the larger grocery store because the aisles feel tiring. You stop taking out the garbage because the bin feels awkward. You stop cooking meals that require chopping, lifting, standing, and cleaning several pans. Each decision makes sense on its own. One small change is not alarming, but the pattern matters. This is how strength loss hides. It does not always announce itself as pain or collapse. Sometimes it appears as a smaller life, fewer errands, fewer visits, fewer stairs, fewer walks outside, fewer reasons to leave the house. And because every single change sounds reasonable, no one notices that the person's world is quietly shrinking. This is why I want you to ask yourself a very honest question. What have I stopped doing in the last 6 to 12 months? Not because you are lazy, not because you failed, but because your calendar may reveal your strength before your mirror does. Have you stopped using stairs? Stopped walking outdoors? Stopped carrying groceries? Stopped joining social activities because getting there feels tiring? Stopped cleaning certain rooms? Stopped standing long enough to cook? Then ask the second question. Did I truly lose interest, or did the task become physically harder? Sometimes accepting help is wise. There is no prize for doing everything alone. But if help slowly replaces movement, the body can lose even more ability. Family members need to understand this too. The most loving support is not always doing every task for an older parent. Sometimes it is making the task safer so the person can still participate. For example, instead of carrying all the groceries for them, maybe you help divide the bags so they can safely carry one light bag. Instead of taking over all cooking, maybe you set up a chair, lighter pans, and safer tools so they can still prepare part of the meal. Instead of saying, "Don't move, I'll do it," sometimes the better question is, how can we make this safe enough for you to keep doing some of it? That is how independence is protected, not by pretending nothing is changing, and not by taking over too quickly, but by noticing the change early and responding wisely. And when ordinary tasks start to disappear, there is usually another clue close behind. The body takes much longer to recover after doing things that used to feel normal. The 6th sign is that normal activity now takes longer to recover from. Everyone has tired days. Poor sleep, stress, grief, pain, a cold, or a medication change can leave you drained. But when slow recovery becomes a repeated pattern, it deserves attention. You may notice that after a short walk, your legs feel heavy for the rest of the day. After grocery shopping, you need to sit for an hour. After vacuuming one room, your thighs ache. After visiting family, you feel physically wiped out the next morning. You may say, "I can still do it, but I pay for it later." That phrase matters. I pay for it later. It may mean the activity is now close to the edge of your current capacity. When muscles are strong enough, daily activity creates normal tiredness. When strength and endurance are low, that same activity can feel like a major event. This does not mean you should stop moving. In many cases, stopping makes recovery worse over time, but it does mean your activity may need to be paced and rebuilt. Think of strength like a bank account. If everyday tasks cost more energy than your body has available, you go into debt. The answer is not to spend nothing. The answer is to build the account gradually while spending wisely. That may mean taking shorter walks more often instead of one exhausting walk. It may mean sitting for part of food preparation, but standing for small, safe portions. It may mean strength exercises 2 or 3 times a week with recovery days between harder efforts. It may also mean checking whether anemia, thyroid disease, heart problems, lung disease, poor nutrition, dehydration, depression, pain, or medication side effects are adding to the fatigue. Be especially careful if slow recovery comes with warning signs such as chest discomfort, breathlessness, out of proportion to the activity, fainting, black stools, unexplained weight loss, fever, severe new pain, or rapidly worsening weakness. Those symptoms should be discussed promptly with a health professional, but if the main issue is gradual loss of stamina and strength, there is still a lot you can do. The important thing is not to wait until your world becomes very small before you respond. So what should you do if several of these signs sound familiar? First, track the pattern for 2 weeks. Do not rely only on memory, because memory often softens the details. Write down what activity felt harder, what happened in your body, and how long recovery took. For example, Monday, stairs to bedroom, needed railing, legs shaky. Wednesday, grocery store, leaned on cart, tired for 2 hours. Friday, restaurant chair, needed 2 attempts to stand. This kind of record is extremely useful because it turns a vague complaint into a clear pattern. Instead of saying, "I feel weaker," you can tell your doctor, "I am having more trouble standing from chairs, climbing stairs, gripping objects, walking steadily, and recovering after normal activity." That is much more helpful. Second, review the basics your muscles need. Muscles need movement, enough protein, enough overall calories, sleep, hydration, and the right medical support. They also need nerves, blood flow, hormones, and joints that allow movement, and they need confidence, because fear of falling can make people move less, and moving less can worsen weakness. Please do not start high-dose supplements or extreme diets without advice. For some older adults, especially those with kidney disease, diabetes, heart failure, swallowing problems, or major weight loss, nutrition advice should be personalized. A registered dietitian can be very helpful. Third, rebuild strength safely. Many seniors believe exercise must be hard to count. That is not true. It needs to be appropriate, consistent, and gradually challenging. A beginner plan may include standing from a chair with support, gentle wall push-ups, heel raises at a counter, side steps along a counter, light resistance band movements, and short walks broken into manageable pieces. But the right plan depends on your health. If you have had falls, dizziness, chest symptoms, severe joint pain, osteoporosis with fracture history, or significant balance problems, ask for guidance before pushing yourself. Physical therapy can be one of the safest starting points, especially when confidence has already dropped. Fourth, do not separate strength from balance. Strong legs help, but if balance is poor, you may still move with fear. Balance practice may be as simple as standing near a counter and shifting weight safely, or doing supervised exercises that challenge stability without putting you in danger. Strength and balance should work together, especially after 60. Before we finish, I'd like to hear from you. Which sign surprised you the most? The chair, the stairs, the grip, the walking, the quiet avoiding, or the slow recovery? And if you are watching for a parent or spouse, which one have you noticed first? Finally, protect the activities that protect your life. Strength training after 60 is not vanity. It is not about trying to look younger. It is about keeping the movements that allow you to live as yourself. The chair, the stairs, the grocery bag, the garden, the bathtub, the walk to the mailbox, the ability to visit people you love. These are not small things. They are the architecture of independence. So, here is what I want you to remember. Do not panic if one of these signs sounds familiar, but do not dismiss a pattern just because it arrived quietly. If getting up from a chair is harder, if stairs feel bigger, if your grip is less reliable, if your walking has changed, if you are avoiding ordinary tasks, or if normal activity now takes much longer to recover from, your body may be asking for attention, and attention is not fear. Attention is care. Start small, write down what you notice, make your home safer, ask for the right help, build strength gradually, and most importantly, do not let embarrassment keep you silent. Many older adults can improve strength, function, and confidence when the problem is recognized early and approached safely, not overnight, not with magic, but with steady, practical steps. I'm Dr. Claire Bennett. Take care of your strength because your strength is one of the quiet foundations of your freedom.